In the Championship, you might get 3 or 4 chances. In the Premier League, you get 1. If you don't take that 1, you're going home with 0 points. That's just the reality and the level that goes up when you go up there.
And after just 1 season now, back up to the Premier League. And something else, Nigel, I was thinking about, I remember we talked to Scott Parker very early in the season. I mean, he was named manager of this club with just about a month's run-up to the start of the season. I mean, how would you put into words the job that Scott Parker has done, and what is going to have to be that next step now as he takes his team back up to the Premier League? Well,
Scott Parker's done a great job. It's easy for us to sit and dissect it. We talk about the season and how long it is and how grueling it is. He's an experienced manager, has been there before. But for me, the reality of it is there was an expectation for Burnley to bounce back up. They did have probably one of the best squads in the league. So for me, he's gone and done something that he's done before.
But how much harder does that expectation make it?
Scott Parker's not the type that I don't think would really be bothered by that type of expectations. Play at the highest level, you know, he's played for big clubs in England, played for the national team. I played against him many times, and I can say by playing against Scott, he's got that mindset. It's just something different that these players have. So for him, he knows what he's capable of, he knows what he has to do, and he's done it. You know, he's got them promoted back. Good squad, done it with Fulham, done it with Bournemouth, so I'm not surprised that he's done this. I think now for next year, looking forward, you've got to look at the combination between the ownership and also as your manager. They want to stay in the Premier League. The financial gain in the Premier League is so much, and it means a lot for them to stay up there now. So now the conversation is, what do you have to do this time different to last year? And I feel, for me, you have to have a better balance. I'm tired of when these clubs talk about style of play, footballing philosophy when you go to the Premier League. No, stick to your strengths. Play. If you want to make it uncomfortable at times, make it uncomfortable. If you want to go old school. Recruit well. Recruiting now, from now to when the Premier League start, is going to be vital for them. I think Trafford is a brilliant goalkeeper, one for the future, and he's definitely going to be, for me, the main star. You need experience in defensive areas there, I would say, to recruit seasoned vets. So when you look at recruiting, I always say the first thing you need to do when you go to the Premier League is recruit down that spine. You have to strengthen your spine with seasoned vets, and then you can add the little flavours of youngsters and experience, but you just have to be true to who you are. Don't go to the Premier League and all of a sudden now think you're going to go and play with the big boys and you're going to be playing out the back like all these teams try to do, thinking it's going to be easy and you're going to get time, because you're going to get punished. The difference between the Premier League and the Championship is this. In the Championship, you might get 3 or 4 chances. In the Premier League, you get 1. If you don't take that 1, you're going home with 0 points. That's just the reality and the level that goes up when you go up there.
I do want to give credit, though, to Scott Parker, because Luton Town's a team that came down from the Premier League. They had 2 strikers in their team that were in double-digit scores in the Premier League, and they were one of the not dark horses, but they were supposed to bounce back up, too. And now we're talking about them in a relegation battle, which we'll cover to the end of the season, and we don't know where they're going to end up. So it's easy. You have the best squad and everything's easy on paper, but you still got to go and get the job done, and he's done that. And, you know, in the beginning of the season, a lot of rumblings, oh, well, he's boring. His style of play is no fun. He plays with the handbrake on. He doesn't let his players express themselves. If I'm an owner, give me the boring guy every single time. Those guys win things. Those guys lift trophies at the end of the year. Those guys get promoted. So I do agree with Nigel where he has to bring his pragmatism, his defensive organization into the Premier League, but they do have to add an element of quality and talent, and also in the attacking third. If they can marry those 2 things, then you're talking about a club that's probably going to hopefully stay for a few years in the Premier League and then figure it out from there.
I'll be honest with you, even now with the promotion, and this is for me just, again, talking about players like Scott Parker.
Jumping around.
He wants to leave me today. The reality of it is this, you're in the Premier League now, he knows he'll be under pressure. He knows he'll be under pressure because this becomes bigger than you now. The emotional side of it, yes, you got us promoted, you did what we expected, but we're in the Premier League as a football club and we want to stay there. It might not sound nice to some people, but it's the reality of the modern game of football. He'll know he's under pressure, not going to have a tremendous amount of time or 3 or 4 years to build something great. So he'll embrace that pressure. But I just hope, like you said, you just add that bit of more adventure to it. Great when you are defensive, but you've got to go out there to score goals and try and win football games. You're not going to go to the Premier League thinking you can just rely on being as defensively solid as you are in the Championship, because the level and quality of players you're facing in the Premier League is going to be higher.
Girl, let's talk about the other team that are an automatic promotion today, and that is your former team, Leeds. They're going to be glad that they didn't have to go through a promotion playoff. They've never been promoted that way, but they're finally back up to the Premier League. And when we talk about balanced teams, I mean, they were the best offensive team and the second best defensive team. So how well prepared are they for this next step?
They're good. And then the conversation again, though, how will they adapt in the Premier League, right? That's the first question you always ask. And the thing is, when you dominate in the Championship, right? So Burnley dominated it defensively, right? And that'll get tested in the Premier League. But Leeds dominated in a way where they were the best in transition, the best in counterattack, the best in possession. That's not the reality when you go back to the Premier League. So you're going to have to reinvent yourself. They're also going to have to make investments as well. And something I thought was really interesting with Leeds United that I look back at today, since the inception of the Premier League, they've spent more seasons outside of the Premier League than they have inside the Premier League. And they're a team, and this is well known amongst the fans, that are a Premier League team with a Premier League history, with a Premier League stadium and fan base, one of the best in the world. So this is an opportunity, invest the right way, push the right way, continue to keep the things you were good at. Maybe you have to add some pieces. But this is an opportunity to stay in the Premier League for a longer period of time. It's one of the most difficult leagues in the world. It's a tough task, but it's a team that belongs there, and it's a team that has the opportunity now to stay there for a prolonged period. Obviously, they only spent 3 seasons in it last time before getting relegated again, but 15 seasons in the Premier League, 17 outside of it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see them push on now and spend 10, 15 years where they can really build and maybe dream about European football down the line. Obviously, tall task, but we'll start here with
I'll just add this quickly, Grella. It's right what you're saying, and it's achievable. That's what people have to understand, because you look at teams like Brentford, Brighton, Fulham and Crystal Palace. They did it a period of time, bouncing up and down, and now they've managed to sustain themselves as regular Premier League clubs. So it is definitely achievable.
When you look at both Leeds and you look at Burnley, what is the #1 position of need to really address going into next season?
I think there was games where Burnley struggled to create chances from all the possession that they had and from the strength of the squad that they had. And for long periods, they relied on Brownhill to get all their goals, which this is the biggest season he had. Before that, he's only scored 7 goals in a season, which is actually a lot from a center midfielder, box-to-box midfielder. This season, obviously, a one-off 16. So I always thought, watching the whole season, they needed somebody to add to the goal scoring. They ended up getting Zian Fleming, who scored 10 goals in the season, so it was a great addition. But I think for sure, if you're going to strengthen Burnley, you need a proper center forward that's going to get you 15, 18 goals in that range. Where do you get it? I have no idea, because it's going to be very expensive. Yeah. But that's definitely the piece that most teams need. You need to know, okay, we need to score goals. Where are they going to come from?
Yeah, I agree to that. I think it's a great... what's the word I'm looking for? Analysis, that's the word. Great analysis, yeah, I agree to that. For me, for Leeds, I would go with a new goalkeeper. I think Leeds need to get themselves a new goalkeeper. Talk about strengthening the spine. I think they'll have to start with a goalkeeper first, in my opinion, because you talk about big moments in games now, and especially being the Premier League, you can't just turn over points by poor goalkeeping, because you'll be punished way more heavily in the Premier League than you would in the Championship. I would start with a new goalkeeper for Leeds.
Is that how you see it, Grell, for Leeds?
Definitely, certainly it's something you need to look at. They just had the change only a few weeks ago where they had to take out Meslier and get the new goalkeeper in. So that's not ideal when you're trying to push for promotion. It's certainly not going to be ideal in the Premier League, because you're not going to have any weeks where you say, okay, let's experiment and let's try this. You've got to hit the ground running. For me, I think they have a lot of depth in the behind the striker position. So they got Solomon, Ramazzani, Gnonto, Aronson, Daniel James. And they're almost all the same player. And I think Aronson is sort of like fitting in that number 10 position, but not truly a number 10. I think he can fit in one of the outside positions. So if you're going to play that way, maybe someone with a different skill set in that number 10 position that plays behind Pirlo.
I think
number 10. A proper number 10
yeah.
that will create numerical advantages that maybe can add a little bit more to goal scoring. I know Aronson having a very good season goal scoring wise, but playing also in a team that scores the most goals in the league. So that's the position I would look to strengthen there. I think that's an important position in the Premier League, someone that can also do it on both sides of on the football.
We only know 2 teams at the moment that will be competing in the promotion playoff. That, of course, is Sheffield United, who just missed out today on keeping their automatic promotion hopes alive. And then, of course, you also have a team in Sunderland who has been in that 4th place spot pretty much all season long. The final 2 spots are still up for grabs. But for the 2 teams that we know are in the playoff, who are you feeling most confident about going in to what is, Nige, you guys have both said it a ton of times, it's so hard to go and get promoted through the playoff?
There you go. I don't have a dice. There you go. That's who's going to win.
Not who's going to win, but who do you think would
It's
have
funny,
the
but he's
hardest
right.
time or easiest time?
Ali, honestly,
Hard to say.
it's anyone's game in the playoff. I've been through this in my career. First year, we lost to Crystal Palace. Second year, we got in there by the luck of getting, well, but not by luck, by winning 10 consecutive games. But anyone can beat anyone in the playoffs. Home and away leg, the atmosphere, then you get to Wembley, then it's your big day, it's your cup final you've worked for all year. Anyone can beat anyone.
Yeah, on paper, Sheffield United, Sunderland are the ones, right? But then you look
Sheffield United have done it in 9 times. They've lost 9.
But they got a great team. They got a good team. They had moments today where they went toe-to-toe with Burnley that they were pretty good. They were good the whole season. They also, by the way, you got to note, they had a 2-point deduction to start the season.
Right.
So that's another thing. But then you look down the table, down in the basement end of the table. Not the basement, but the playoff spot.
Yeah.
You see Millwall down there. That only 3 points outside, and you want to talk
Bristol
about a
City,
horrible
dark horse.
team to play against.
Anyone.